Everybody means well when they talk about weight loss. But let's be real. Most of them couldn't guide you out of a roundabout, let alone through the minefield of dieting, metabolism, and cravings. So, in this video, we're cutting through the nonsense and getting straight to the point. We're going to break down the 5 life stages where your body decides to betray you and pack on the pounds. Welcome to Autonomy Health. Weight gain is like that one toxic ex. It shows up uninvited, makes you miserable, and refuses to leave no matter how hard you try to shake it off. One day, you're living your best life, and the next, your genes are plotting against you. From innocent childhood snack binges to retirement treat-yourself meals, life hands us plenty of opportunities to pack on the pounds. Some weight gain is natural, but some phases hit harder than others, leaving you wondering how it all spiraled out of control. But before you panic and start purging your kitchen of anything that actually tastes good, take a deep breath. You're not doomed to stretch your waistband at every stage of life. Each of these 5 phases comes with unique challenges, but the good news? You can outsmart them. No need to swear off pizza or survive on kale smoothies and celery sticks. Now, let's break down when the pounds tend to pile on, why it happens, and most importantly, how to fight back without making yourself miserable. Because let's be real, you deserve a strategy that works with your lifestyle, not against it. The first stage is your childhood, the origin story of your ever-expanding waistline. Ever wonder why some people seem to gain weight just by looking at a cupcake, while others can devour an entire pizza without consequence? Blame their childhood. At this stage, kids are basically tiny, fat-producing machines, manufacturing fat cells like a shady underground factory with no labor laws. Between the ages of 4 and 6, their first major growth spurt kicks in, triggering an increased appetite that turns them into bottomless pits. And if you're shoveling food into them like they're training for an eating competition, their little bodies don't just store the extra energy as fat, they create more fat cells to hold it. Here's the kicker. The human body generally stops making new fat cells around the age of 7. After that, fat cells don't multiply. They just expand like balloons every time you overeat. So the more fat cells a child stockpiles in those formative years, the easier it will be for them to gain weight later in life, and the harder it'll be to ever keep it off. This is why chubby babies tend to reprise their roles as chubby adults. Their bodies were built for fat storage from an early age. Meanwhile, kids who start off lean tend to have a harder time gaining weight later, provided they don't completely go rogue with bad habits in adulthood. So if you ever find yourself side-eyeing your metabolism, wondering why your body seems to be hoarding fat like a doomsday prepper, take a trip down memory lane. Your childhood eating habits may have set the stage long before you had a say in it. Solution? Save the kids before they pledge allegiance to sugar. If you don't train kids to eat healthy early on, they'll be chasing sugar highs like a washed-up rock star chasing relevance. The good news is, those little squirts will eat almost anything, if you present it right. Slather some veggies in a dip so delicious they forget they're chewing plants. Convince them that grapes are nature's Skittles. Turn eating into a game where eating fruits and vegetables in a week can win them a slice of ice cream cake. Keep the ultra-processed junk to a minimum before they develop a full-blown addiction that makes quitting caffeine look like a casual hobby. And for the love of everything good, get them moving. Encourage sports, dance, or even physically demanding chores before they become permanently glued to the couch, mistaking lifelong laziness for chronic fatigue. Childhood obesity isn't just about aesthetics. It's about setting them up for a future where they can eat cake without their metabolism filing for bankruptcy before they even hit puberty. And speaking of puberty, brace yourself, because that's when the real hormonal apocalypse begins. Puberty, hormones gone wild. Puberty, the hormonal apocalypse. The second stage where weight gain is likely and weight loss is unlikely is puberty. Puberty is that delightful phase of acne, attitude, and eating like a starved grizzly bear. This is the second and last growth spurt bonanza your kid must endure before they graduate into full-blown adulthood, complete with crippling responsibilities, monthly bills, and tax season. At this stage, their hormones are raging harder than a midlife crisis, and their appetite follows suit. Some lucky ones shoot up like bean poles and somehow stay lean, while others inflate faster than a blow-up doll. Thanks to a testosterone boost, boys are primed to pack on muscle. but only if they actually move their butts. If they're addicted to video games instead of a gym, all that extra energy that should have turned into biceps will settle into their love handles. And once fat cells are made, they don't go away, only expand, like a terrible subscription service you forgot to cancel. For girls, body fat isn't just optional, it's mandatory. Girls need at least 15% body fat to kickstart their menstrual cycles. But if they spend puberty treating food like a sport, that 15% can skyrocket to 50%. And suddenly, walking upstairs feels like climbing Mount Everest. While fat is biologically necessary, too much of it can turn into a lifelong regret. For boys, keeping muscle means they have a fighting chance at avoiding a permanent beer gut before they even taste beer. For girls, staying active means they can gain just enough fat to stay healthy without needing a forklift to get out of bed. Bottom line, puberty is where the battle begins. Teach them balance now, or they might be Googling quickest way to lose 50 pounds before they graduate high school. Solution? Parental damage control, preventing the next Netflix and binge generation. As a parent, your job is to manage the chaos, not just the door-slamming tantrums and "I hate you" phases, but also the insatiable black hole that is their stomach. You control the environment, so use that power wisely. Stock the house with nutritious snacks. If they want junk food, make them work for it. Nothing builds character like a kid standing in the kitchen, devastated to find only apples and hummus. Encourage sports. If they refuse, force them to take up something that makes them sweat, whether it's soccer, swimming, or an interpretive dance-off in their bedroom. Let them burn off energy in a productive way, but not in a reproductive way. Hormones are already turning their brains into disaster zones. Redirect that energy into something less life-altering than an unexpected pregnancy. Boys actually have an advantage here. If they start building muscle now, their metabolism gets a free upgrade that can last for decades. Muscle burns more calories than fat, meaning future pizza binges won't haunt them quite as much. That is, of course, if they actually build muscle instead of spending their teen years marinating in Mountain Dew and Cheeto dust. Ladies, listen up. Puberty is the warm-up. If you lose the battle now, the next phase of pregnancy can be the point of no return. If you balloon up during puberty, your body will cling to that fat like it's a prized possession. And once babies enter the picture, forget it. Your metabolism will be held hostage, and no amount of celery juice will save you. This is not the time to give up. Whether you're a boy lifting weights or a girl aggressively cleaning your room just to avoid your parents, the key is staying active. Future you, the one trying to squeeze into jeans that fit last year, will either send you a thank you card or curse you for every extra pound. Choose wisely. And speaking of ladies, this brings us to the third stage, pregnancy. Congratulations, you're growing a tiny human. Unfortunately, your appetite thinks you're feeding a baby elephant. Thanks to a hormonal conspiracy and the ever-demanding parasite, sorry baby, inside you, your body suddenly decides that it needs enough food to sustain a small village. The eating for two lie is the biggest scam of all. Many women treat pregnancy like a golden ticket to an all-you-can-eat buffet, shoveling in burgers, milkshakes, and entire loaves of bread under the noble excuse of eating for two. But here's the ugly truth. That second person weighs less than a watermelon. Your baby does not need an entire cheesecake or an extra-large pizza just because. Your pre-pregnancy weight is the deal breaker. If you were already carrying a food baby before the real baby showed up, congratulations, you're about to double down. The more extra weight you start with, the more you'll gain during pregnancy. And here's the kicker. Up to 20% of pregnancy weight tends to stick around after delivery. That means the more you gain now, the more you'll still be lugging around when the baby makes their grand exit. By baby number 3, you might start resembling a stack of pancakes instead of the lean, toned woman you used to be. These pounds pile up like an unemptied trash bin at a green party convention, and before you know it, you've got an entire mom bod that wasn't part of the original plan.
Now, here's the real deal. A woman who keeps herself fit before and during pregnancy can pop out half a dozen kids and still look amazing. Meanwhile, a woman who lets herself go before the first baby even arrives will find herself staring into the mirror, wondering why her body has turned into a lost cause after just one child. Pregnancy is not an excuse to eat like an unsupervised toddler at a birthday party. It's hard enough to lose weight without adding pregnancy leftovers to the equation. Keep it in check now, or risk spending the next decade trying to undo the damage. The solution is pregnancy preparation, because undoing the damage is a nightmare. Let's get real. Pregnancy is not the time to suddenly realize you need a gym membership. If you weren't lifting anything heavier than your phone before, don't expect your body to magically bounce back after childbirth. The real secret? Prepare before pregnancy. Building muscle before pregnancy is like installing a turbo engine in your metabolism. The more lean muscle you have, the faster you burn calories, even when binge-watching Netflix. And trust me, you'll need this advantage, because once the cravings hit, your willpower will be weaker than your grandma's Wi-Fi signal. Belly fat is the stage 5 clinger of body fat. Once it moves in, it refuses to leave, no matter how many salads you eat or miles you run. Stay active or you'll be sorry. During pregnancy, your body still works. That means you should too. Just doctor approved, of course. Walk, stretch, do prenatal workouts, or at least chase a toddler around if you already have one. Anything is better than sinking into the couch and becoming one with the cushions. Look, your baby is the size of a mango for most of your pregnancy. You are not feeding a grown man. If you start eating for two, you'll finish looking like two. Because, let's face it, losing weight is harder than just not gaining it in the first place. Take the easy road. Your future self will thank you. Stage 4 is your 30s, the great energy drain. Welcome to your 30s, where your metabolism files for early retirement. Remember when you had time for hobbies, workouts, and cooking actual meals? Yeah, those days are over. Now you're juggling work, family, and exhaustion like a circus act with no safety net. Your metabolism, once a furnace burning through pizza and beer with no consequences, now moves at the speed of dial-up internet. If you don't get that joke, you're definitely too young for Ozempic. And speaking of mess, let's talk about the biggest betrayal of all, your own body. Men, say goodbye to testosterone and say hello to the dad bod. At 30, testosterone doesn't exactly vanish overnight, but it definitely starts packing its bags. And with less testosterone comes more fat, less muscle, and the inevitable beer gut, whether or not you even drink beer. If you thought hitting the gym in your 20s was optional, guess what? Now it's mandatory, unless you want to start breathing heavily just from tying your shoes. For women, 30 is when your body really leans into its survival instincts. It starts clinging to fat like an overprotective ex, just in case you suddenly decide to have a baby, or get stranded on a deserted island. And stress? Oh, stress is your new BFF. The cortisol levels from your daily life basically tell your body to store fat like a squirrel hoarding nuts for the winter. Here's the worst part. You won't notice the damage right away. Weight gain in your 30s is like credit card debt. It builds up slowly, and then one day, you wake up and realize you're screwed. By your late 30s, the scale will have its own horror movie soundtrack every time you step on it. So, what's the plan? Your 30s are your final warning before your 40s come knocking. And trust me,
40s metabolism makes 30s metabolism look positively youthful. Fix it now, or prepare for a midlife crisis fueled by diet pills and regret. Your 30s are basically your figure it out or let yourself go phase of life. Your body is no longer the effortless calorie-burning machine it once was, so now it's time to adapt or expand. Gone are the days of hour-long gym sessions and leisurely morning jogs. Now, your workout has to fit into the small, unpredictable gaps of your chaotic existence. Options include yoga, more like trying not to die while stretching. Pilates, if you can survive it, your core will thank you. Aggressively pacing during work calls, multitasking at its finest. Squats while breastfeeding, motherhood, the ultimate full-body workout. Ladies, you can literally feed a baby and build your glutes at the same time. If that's not peak multitasking, I don't know what is. For your nutrition, you need to start eating like a grown-up, but not a sad one.
Your metabolism is on life support, so you need to stop eating like a sleep-deprived raccoon. The basics. Prioritize protein. It keeps you full and helps you maintain what little muscle you have left. Don't forget fiber. It keeps your digestion moving, because at this age, everything needs a little help to move along. Drink water. No, coffee doesn't count. Neither does wine. As a matter of fact, cut down your caffeine and alcohol intake, as those two promote dehydration. If you think you can survive on 5 hours of sleep and sheer willpower, congratulations! You've just given your body a vit pass to weight gain. Sleep deprivation wrecks your hormones, boosts cravings, and makes you more likely to eat an entire extra-large pizza at 11 p.m. The bottom line is, get it all together now. You're at a crossroads. Make small adjustments now or prepare for a full-blown crisis later. If you don't want to wake up at 40 with the metabolism of a sloth and the energy levels of a haunted doll, it's time to start making changes before your body decides for you. And finally, we come to the retirement rut, over 65 years of age. Retirement sounds like a blissful escape from the grind, until you realize it's just code for more sitting, less moving, and an unhealthy obsession with reruns of a show you hated in the first place. At first, you think you'll finally have time to get in shape, but then you find yourself bonding with your local baker like you've been friends for years, mainly because you're there every day buying croissants that are more butter than pastry. Health problems sneak up on you like an uninvited relative at Thanksgiving. You start popping pills for every ailment, from joint pain to the sudden inability to remember why you walked into a room. Your body begins hoarding calories like it's preparing for a food shortage. Or maybe it's just storing fat as an emotional support system for all the naps you're taking. Who needs a six-pack when you've got a belly that could double as a flotation device? The solution is to keep moving. You don't have to hit the gym like a bodybuilder, but at least try not to resemble a recliner in human form. Pilates, yoga, walking, biking, swimming. Anything that gets your body out of its permanent slouch position will do. And yes, chasing your grandkids around counts as cardio, though you may need a defibrillator afterward. As for the wine and cheese nights, sorry, because they're about as supportive for your health as a rubber band holding up a concrete block. If you can't part with your nightly indulgences, at least spread them out like you're rationing food in a famine. And don't forget your fiber. At this point, your body would rather be best friends with a bowl of oats than another round of bacon and cheese. Start these habits in your 50s, or you'll be retired, but your body will be in a permanent hibernation state, covered in regret and the crumbs of that last bag of chips. In conclusion, every stage of life is an opportunity to either manage your weight or let it slide into the abyss like a Netflix binge on a rainy day. Slip up once, and the next stage will greet you with a slap in the face and a muffin top that somehow didn't exist last week. But here's the silver lining.
Small, consistent efforts are like the tortoise in that race, steadily keeping you ahead of the pack, while the rest of the world sprints and collapses in a puddle of nacho cheese. Your body is basically your lifestyle wearing a skin suit. So, make choices that your future self will applaud. Until next time, stay active, stay sharp, and don't let weight gain creep up on you like a wet dream in a 12-year-old boy. Unexpected, embarrassing, and somehow harder to explain than a bowl of potato chips at 2 a.m.